Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, like no matter how hard you try, there's a voice in your head that is telling you like, I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. I wouldn't be able to do this. I don't have this. I don't have that. Well, that is your inner critic, right? And today I am going to help you silence that bitch once and for all. Hello and welcome back. My name is Juditha and I am your mindset coach and dream life advocate. In this space, we talk about all of the things that matter when you're creating your dream life. So I'm talking about your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, all of the things, because I'm trying to do the same thing. So trust me when I say that I get it. Okay. If you have ever felt held back by doubts, by insecurities, by literally just like your thoughts, like you cannot control them, know that you are not alone. Like a lot of people struggle with this. A good thing about this is that your thoughts, they aren't facts. They just need to be challenged. And the reason why it's so hard now to challenge your thoughts, to control them when it's spiraling and being negative, is because you are just in the habit of speaking to yourself negatively. You have allowed that voice in your head to have its way with you. You have allowed it to have its own free reign over your life, over what you think, over what you do, over what you think you're capable of. And it's just become a habit at this point. So know that it can be changed, but there's a couple of things that you're going to have to be committed to doing consistently. And not only that, but you have to be willing to do it consistently over an undefined amount of time. Eventually it'll work. Trust me. I don't even know how long it took me, but all I know is that from the time I became self-aware and I realized that I don't have to believe every thought that I think, and then I realized that my brain is always going to be bringing me doubts and fears in the name of keeping me safe. From the time I recognized that, I have been using this to my advantage, and I have been more aware of my ability to actually be in control of what I think, about what I think is possible for me, about what I think I can create, about who I think I can become. So that voice in your head, one of the first things that I want you to understand is that that is your brain trying to keep you safe. And you're probably thinking like, why would my brain do that? Why would my brain be so mean? Why would my brain tell me that I can't? Why would my brain do this? And the thing about it is your brain is not concerned with your success. It is concerned with your safety. When you question yourself, when you doubt, when you fear, you don't take action. You don't change. You change your mind. You step back. You stay the same. And nothing is more safe to your brain than when you stay the same, because when you do the things that you've always done, it's able to predict what's going to happen next. And that's the whole point. Like back in the day when we lived in caves, that served us. It served us to be so hyper aware of what could go wrong. But now in this day and age, it's not serving you. So it's simply something that you have to rewire and retrain your brain to do, because your inner critic is really just a part of you that fears, that has doubt, that has been conditioned by society to believe that only certain things can happen for you, can be true for you. So this is probably what it looks like when your inner critic comes up. For a lot of us, especially entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, creators, let's say you have an idea, right? Or you have an idea about what you want to do, or maybe a business that you want to start. Your brain is going to question it. Your brain is going to tell you like, why would we do this? Why would this work? Like this won't work. It's going to spiral as soon as you have that new idea. And one of the best things you can do for yourself is to know this ahead of time. Know that this is what brains do. It's not a you thing. It's a human thing. But what you do have control over is if you believe it or not. You have control over how much you let this thought or these thoughts control what you do next. And the thing about your inner critic is when it comes to silencing that inner critic, I'm not saying that you're never going to feel fear. I'm not saying that you're never going to have doubts again. But what I am saying is that you're going to have the ability to question it. You're going to have the ability to become someone who does not believe everything they think. And when you become that person, you show up way differently than the person who is believing everything that their inner critic is telling them. So it's not about completely dismantling the fear and banishing it forever. It's making you the person who can carry on and do what you got to do regardless of the fear that you feel, because that's the difference between you and the person who is succeeding at the things that you want to do. They are willing to feel negative emotions and still take action anyway, still do what they have to do, still carry through and carry on with the plans that they have for their life. So let's get to what you came here for, the sentence that's going to help you actually silence that inner critic when you need it to shut the fuck up. Okay, so the sentence is this: when the doubts come up, when the fears come up, I want you to tell yourself, the voice in my head is just a habit. It is not facts. It is not the truth. It is not who I really am. Now, the reason why that sentence works is because you are going to separate the inner critic from who you really are. You are going to start seeing it as a habit. We know that they can be changed. We know that habits can be changed. And how do we change habits? Well, the first thing is you have to go to the root of it. And the root of everything, the root of your reality, the root of your beliefs, it's your thoughts. So we have to focus on the thoughts. Focus on the thoughts that you are thinking when you feel that that inner critic is working against you. And then you question it. Because remember, these two things, this is just a habit. If you have been the type of person to always question yourself, to always doubt, to always fear, your brain is accustomed to being that way. So that's why it's a habit. It's because you can't help yourself. In the beginning of changing, of trying to get your inner critic to be nicer to you, to work with you, you have to realize that you are breaking a habit of being who you've always been. And that's not going to be easy. But with repetition, with consistency, little by little, it will change. And the person that you will become when you do this consistently is going to be completely different than who you are now. So remember, your inner critic is a pattern. It's not reality. It's just who you're used to being. And you get to change at any time. When who you are isn't working for you anymore, you get to change. And you know that who you are isn't working for you when your reality isn't a reflection of what you actually want. It's not a reflection of how you actually want to live. That's when you know that something has to change, right? Because if you expect your reality to change before you do, it's kind of like looking in the mirror and frowning, but then expecting your reflection to be smiling back at you. And I believe I read that in a Neville Goddard book. I don't know if I'm saying his name, Neville Goddard, however you say it. But I believe I read that in his book, and I just love that analogy because it makes so much sense. Like if you want what you're seeing to change, you have to change because your reality is simply just mirroring back to you who you're being, what you're thinking, the habits that you have, the actions that you take on a daily. All of that is actually creating your reality. So when you change all of that, your reality changes. And when you tell yourself that the voice in your head is just a habit, it's not the truth, it's not facts, it's not who you really are, you are separating yourself from the inner critic. You are starting to see it more as a habit, just something that you need to break down and work through. And that's giving you the space to actually challenge it so that you don't just automatically believe it. And I have the perfect example of how I do this, right? The other day, I was scrolling on Instagram, and as I was scrolling, I came across the page of this woman that I've been following for a long time, and I just love her content. She's also like a coach, like in the spiritual niche, I think, and I was just looking at the way she talks, the way she posts, the way she creates her videos. And I started to think to myself, like, damn, I love the way she's doing that. Like, I wish I could speak to my audience like that. I wish I knew how to create stuff like this. I wish that I spoke like this. And I found myself just like comparing myself a lot to her, to the point where I started to tell myself, like, my inner critic kicked in and was like, you're never going to figure this out. Like, how are you going to do this? How are you ever going to get on that level like she is? And then what I realized was there was a part of me that was observing the inner critic. Like, yes, there was those thoughts were coming up for me, but there was also, like, I don't even know how else to describe it. Like, it's gonna sound so weird, but it kind of felt like I was observing this other part of me be insecure, but there was another part of me that was like totally like secure in herself, watching this other part of me freak out. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. It felt like even though a part of me did not have control, there was still like my soul, my higher self was still very much there and was allowing my ego to kind of like spiral for a little bit. But then after a while, I kind of just like snapped out of it, and I was like, hold on, what are you talking about? Like, of course you can get there. This person has been doing it for this amount of years. You've only been doing it for 2. Like, give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, right? This is not who I actually am. This is just who I'm being in this moment. The thing is, my process might not look like your process because I've been doing this for years. Like, I've been retraining my brain, rewiring it, and practicing talking to myself nicely for years. So now that's kind of what it looks like to me. I am able to be in it, but also pull myself out of it really quickly because to my core, I have these beliefs about myself. I have these beliefs about the universe. I have these beliefs about God, and all of those things combined make me feel not invincible, but it just makes me feel like anything is possible for me. So it took me years, but I make these videos so that it doesn't have to take you as long, right? This is why I'm giving you these shortcuts. So again, make sure you are questioning that inner critic. Don't let it take control. And those doubts are gonna come up, y'all. It's a part of the process. Nothing has gone wrong here, okay? Nothing has gone wrong. If this is where you are, if you are doubting a lot, if you are not sure of yourself a lot, tell yourself like, this is okay. I am becoming someone new. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Like the life I'm going to create in 5 years when I conquer these fears, the life I'm going to have, the way I'm going to be experiencing myself and others. Oh my God, like it's going to be amazing. But first, I have to be here first. I get to be here first and I get to figure it out, okay? Because this is a part of the process, right? In order for you to become the person who can have and maintain everything that you say you want, you have to be here first. You have to learn what it feels like to be resilient. You have to learn what it feels like to have courage. You have to learn what it feels like to fail, right? Unfortunately, it's just a part of the process. And you also get to choose to have fun with it. You get to choose to take it lightly. You get to choose to not make it a big deal when things happen that are out of your control. But what is always in your control is how you feel and how you react, okay? So, and that's why we are working on our inner critic, because even though your external world might not always be in your control, the things that happen to you might not always be in your control, you always get to choose how you feel about it, how you think about it, and how you react to it. And that's where the real power lies, okay? That is how you change things. That is how you become successful. All right, so that is it for today's video. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you bloom today. If there's anything that you took from this video, let me know in the comments. And also, before I go, if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, I will leave the link to my application form in the description box. All you have to do is fill it out, then I will be in touch with you, okay? Until next time, bye.